Hi everyone, this is Sana from Public Spend Forum. Today we're going to be chatting with Fatema Hamdani of Kraus Hamdani Aerospace. Kraus Hamdani is one of the thousands of innovative suppliers that you can find on GovShop. Check out their profile right here and keep watching. Hey Fatema, thank you so much for joining us from sunny California today.
Hey, Sana, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure. So let's kick this off. I think for starters, can you just tell us a little bit about Kraus Hamdani?
Well, my business partner and I both are fairly entrepreneurial, and actually most of my team members are extremely entrepreneurial as well, from our business development to engineering. And we've always prided ourselves on sitting on the crux of solving business problems with technology. While we're all hardcore technologists, the so what of technology is always taken front and center in every industry that we've worked or businesses we've created previously. My business partner, I think, created his first glider plane when he was 7 years old, and the passion across aerospace has spanned across what we're doing today and why we are where we are. And you can see that in both of our names being part of the organization. I personally come from a digital transformation, big data, intelligence space. I've helped some of the largest financial services organization and other verticals with their mobile first digital transformation and how intelligence can actually help solve massive business problems. So when Stefan and I met, my business partner and I met almost 4.5 years ago, we were doing a joint venture with his then fintech startup, and even our 1-hour meeting turned into a 6-hour meeting where he's like, I've been looking at unmanned aerial systems. That particular space is really, really set up for disruption. We should look at it together. And then when we started evaluating the issues that exist in the current environment, it was very obvious. We come from a software as a service background. We come from how when technology has evolved, so what Salesforce did to the IBMs and the Oracles of the world, we knew that this particular space was set up perfectly for that kind of disruption and technology innovation. It was begging for it. And that's what got us on our journey, so to speak, to bring aerial intelligence to masses and solve some massive issues that lie in defense, in commercial space, and in the impact space of solving some massive world problems.
So that's a perfect segue. I would love to hear from you. According to you, what are those problems that you're solving? So what is Kraus Hamdani really solving?
Sure. So when we started looking at the unmanned aerial system space, there was 4 massive issues that kind of sprung up at us. One is how far the unmanned aerial system can travel from the operator. And when I'm saying unmanned aerial systems, I'm referring to fixed wing UAVs. So when you look at flight, helicopters versus airplanes, we are in the airplane version of unmanned aerial systems, not the quadcopters or the rotary devices. So fixed wing unmanned aerial system, how far the UAV can travel, unmanned aerial vehicle can travel from the operator, how long it can stay up in terms of endurance, because that determines how much area it's covering, for how long it can cover that area. The third piece is how easy is it to integrate things into the unmanned aerial vehicle or system, both on the platform as well as how easy is it to integrate the UAV back into other assets that are deployed. So both machine-to-machine teaming, human-to-machine teaming, and concepts like open architecture that essentially facilitate integration rapidly. And then finally, how easy is it to operationalize these platforms? So that, what I mean by how many people do you need to truly actually run the program to collect that data and intelligence? And we sit in the aerial intelligence space. By building persistent, longest endurance unmanned aerial systems in the world, what we are doing is we are solving for collection of aerial intelligence to solve business problems and shrink that gap between data or aerial intelligence and decision making so that lives can be saved. Starting with warfighters, civilians, wildlife anti-poaching, search and rescue, disaster recovery, all applications that need aerial coverage for large areas in a cost-effective and efficient manner. So I know that was a mouthful, but essentially that is what we are solving for those are the kind of problems and issues and different market segments that we can address with our technology as well as our solutions.
You spoke a lot about innovation and innovative solutions. Can you talk a little bit more about, as you look ahead, what are some of the innovative things that you guys have coming up in the future that we should be looking out for? Could you talk about that?
Sure. So when we solve for persistence and long endurance, we're looking to solve for exponential components around that, right? So it's not just few incremental hours of flight time that we're talking about. We're talking about technology that can fly for days and months, and the ability to do onboard edge processing, the ability to support, we have open architecture. So when we want to plug in sensors and payloads, why are we flying these robots? To collect aerial intelligence. That means there are different types of sensors, payloads that we can carry and do plug and play that allow us to capture this aerial intelligence and then do onboard processing and analytics to actually provide the right kind of actionable intelligence and shrink that gap again that I mentioned earlier. In addition, with this capability, how we're designing the system, it's extremely modular and flexible. So we're growing them in size, both from payload capability as well as the ability to fly on higher altitudes. What that means is eventually we will be flying in a swarm, and we do a lot of biomimicry, which is we emulate what nature has solved for over thousands of years. So when we do long distance flights, we emulate how birds fly long distance. So they're not constantly flapping their wings when they're flying. They're utilizing environmental conditions for flight. We do that algorithmically and feed that back into the autopilot. In addition, so when we are talking about higher altitudes, eventually the vision is to create an IP-based IoT, Internet of Things architecture across all altitudes, going up to altitudes of 65 to 85,000 feet AGL, just below low Earth orbit. And with the ability to carry heavier payloads across all of these altitudes and station keep so that you can collect data. I'll give you an example. When we were sitting down with National Geospatial Agency, they indicated that they have been using synthetic data to train their systems to do climate change monitoring and other components, because that data, they are only dependent on geospatial data and some other data, which does not give them consistent and persistent data across a section of the Earth, monitoring every aspect of the atmosphere, the topology, the land, and for them to be able to take that and feed their systems in to truly do climate change monitoring. With our technology, we're changing the game in that space, right? We're bringing in real-time data, station keeping for hours to be able to do that. When we're looking at wildlife anti-poaching projects, and we're involved with these, the integration of multiple technologies that we're doing for edge processing to truly find patterns and stop poaching at a grassroots level. Again, because of the persistent long endurance aircraft, it changes the game in how anti-poaching is done, right? And so these are just some of the examples of where we are going, and we can eventually complement or supplement the issues that exist in the satellite industry. Launch windows, not being able to service a satellite or maintain a satellite once it's gone up, or do maintenance on it, or bring it down whenever you need to change up, swap out payloads. And it's an extremely expensive proposition of launching satellites. Our heavy payload, high altitude pseudo satellites will eventually be able to supplement those issues that exist in the satellite space, and hopefully also reduce some space junk.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Fatema. That is really, really fascinating. You mentioned the word game changer, and I think you guys are definitely changing the game of how it's done. But the best of luck to you and your team, and keep growing and doing great work along with GovShop. And thank you for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you.